Hello to Miss Barrett's 5th grade science classes at Sharon Shannon Elementary School in Rockwall, Texas. This is Professor Murry Gans at the Eastfield College Ant Lab. You guys went out and collected a bunch of ants for us. Matter of fact, you sent us 25 jars of ants, and that's over 1,000 ants. So what we did was we went in and identified these ants, and we made some pictures. So let me show you what you collected and what we found out. In order to get a good look at the ants that you sent us, we're going to take your ants and pour them into a little dish, and then we're going to use this microscope right here to identify them. So this microscope is kind of cool because it lets me see what the ants look like, but it also has a nice camera on it so I can show you what it looks like at the same time. The pictures that I'm going to send your teacher and that you'll see later in this video were actually made with this setup right here. So this is what the ants look like when we see them for the first time in the alcohol sitting on the microscope. And right away you can see we have two different types of ants. We have these larger ants, which are fire ants, and then there's a second type of ant, this small black ant. This is called Monomorium minimum. A lot of people call these guys sugar ants. And what the microscope allows us to do is to really zoom in and get a close view of some of these ants. So let me zoom in on this guy, and you can look at this ant's eye right here, his antenna, and so forth. Right. The little chunks of white here are actually leftover pieces of hot dog that ended up in your collection. The next stage is actually the one that's a little bit hard to do, so try to get this where you can see it. We actually take the ants out of the alcohol, and then we actually put them on a little piece of cardboard, and then put a pin through that, and so the ant now can be handled without having to touch it again because they tend to dry out and they're going to break. So now our mounted ant, which is right here, is under the microscope in the position we want it, and we're ready to start making pictures. So here's the same ant that's now mounted. You can see the glue where he's glued right there. Here's our pin in the background, and so this ant's now ready to study. So let's take a look at some pictures of the ants that you collected. This first ant is a fire ant, Solenopsis invicta. It may be a little bit more hairy than you expected, and of course you've got this really nasty looking stinger here. And by the way, you can see this is the pin in the background, and there's the glue that glues this ant to that little piece of paper. So here's a head-on view of this ant, and you can see the nice teeth on this ant and his antenna. Also notice, if you will, that there's little hooks in their feet. That's how they hold on to stuff. As we were going through the jars of ants you sent us, we came across this. This is a very large fire ant here that was really upset about being dropped in the alcohol, so he grabbed hold of another ant. This is another fire ant. So this little fire ant here, unfortunately, is trapped in the jaws of this large fire ant. Just thought it was kind of an interesting picture. The second type of ant you guys collected was that little black ant we showed you earlier. This is called Monomorium minimum. This distance right here is actually only 1/2 millimeter, so they're pretty small. These ants, if you ever get a chance, these ants can be kept in a colony. Their whole colony fits about in a teacup, so their colony size is actually quite small. And here's a head of the ant. You can see the fuzzy antenna and the jaws down here, and there's an eyeball right there, another eyeball right there. The third type of ant is this spiky looking guy. This guy's called Paratrichina vivigula. And these guys for us are pretty easy to recognize because of these pairs of really spiky hairs on the back, kind of like punk looking ants here. And here's what it looks like from the front. You can even see the spiky hairs here on the back of the head. The fourth type of ant, and this is one of my favorites, this guy is Forlius pruinosus. This is actually called a cheese ant. And the reason these guys are called cheese ants is because if you squish one and then smell your fingers, it actually smells like cheese. These guys also that chemical smell, that cheesy smell, they can use to defend themselves against fire ants, which is pretty cool. They can actually kill fire ants with that spray. So here's the head of the little cheese ant, really kind of a nice looking little guy, and you can see the large teeth there. The fifth ant that you guys actually collected is this guy. It's called Brachymyrmex patagonicus, and this is actually an invasive species. Came from Argentina and Paraguay. Has only been in this country for a little while. What's interesting about this ant is that it only has 9 segments in its antenna, and so that's a really easy way to figure out that you've got Brachymyrmex here. The sixth species is one I simply did not expect you to collect. It's so small you may not even know that you had it. It's this guy. This guy's called Solenopsis molesta. These little tiny ants, they live underground a lot, and you can see their eye has only got 2 little eye bumps on it. We call those ommatidia. But these guys are called thief ants because they actually find their way into other ants' colonies and will steal their food. You guys got a couple on your, actually you collected 3 of these guys. And here's what the face looks like. Now these guys, let me show you how small these guys really are. Here's a picture I took. This is that original fire ant I showed you. And then this is Solenopsis molesta, the little thief ant here. And they are very, very, very tiny. You guys just did a great job actually coming up with 6 species collected. Well done. I want to thank Miss Barrett, and also Miss Barrett, all of your students who took the time to go out and play with the ants a little bit. The ants that you collected will become a permanent part of our collection, which you'll keep here at the college. And it'll become part of the record of the ants that are in your county, Rockwall County. You guys did an outstanding job. Thank you very much. This is Professor Murry Gans from the Eastfield College Ant Lab. See you later.